All right, grade 12s. Now that the play we have concluded the play, let us look into the discussion of possible themes or the main themes in the book, and also how to respond to higher order questions that which are is discursive questions. All right. Now the first theme that we are going to look into is justice and injustice. This play is about racial injustice and how the characters respond to it. Mr. M. Now I want to show you something. The first statement, it says this play is about racial injustice and how the characters respond to it. It does not mention a particular character, but when you respond to questions based on literature, don't use general statements like how the characters respond to it. Speak about a particular character. Now, for an example, here we say Mr. M believes. So don't use to say, for an example, if you can say people believed that one should be peaceful. You'll be marked wrong because we are not talking about people. So in your responses, make sure that you don't use general statements, but you use characters. Speak about the characters, but not paraphrase or use pronouns. Okay. Now, to justify this theme, remember whenever you are asked to discuss a theme or to substantiate a theme, you must use evidence from the play. You must not use your opinion. You must not use general information. You must use evidence from the play. What is that the character has done, or what is that the character has experienced, or what is that the character has gone through that justify or goes along with the theme of justice and injustice, or serve rather as an example to support the theme of justice and injustice. Okay, right. Now, to back it up, you can say we have evidence that, for an example, Justice Mr. M believes that words allow for peaceful negotiations, whereas violence leads to destruction and heartbreak. He says, be careful, Tammy, don't scorn words. They are sacred. And something that is sacred is something that is sensitive, is something that is holy, right? They are sacred, they are magical. These adjectives or descriptive shows how much Mr. M valued the power of words. Man thinks and he thinks with words, and that is evidence that is deduced from Act 2 and Scene 1. Now, as a strong believer in the Confucian ideology, we spoke about that. He thinks with words and believes that justice rather can be achieved through words. As the event in the play unfolds, we see a contradiction of this theory that words by themselves are not enough, and the same goes to the fact that action that is not backed by words leads to violence and injustice. In Mr. M's view, justice is keeping up with the law. The students have different view to his, and their argument is that the apartheid law is itself unjust. Okay, so this is the evidence that you can use to back up the theme of justice and injustice. And then another theme is that of generational gap, conflict, or clash. We spoke in great length on a deeper level about this across the scenes that we have discussed. This refer, of course, to the different views that Tammy had in comparison to the views of Mr. M. But you must also contextualize your responses. If you say, for example, you answer and say, it is because they had different views in life, that response does not even qualify for a mark. What kind of views are we talking about? Go direct into the answer to say the views about the manner in which they should fight for freedom, given the fact that South Africa was still under the apartheid regime. So don't answer partially. Go explain yourself to the latter, and again, don't paraphrase. All right. This refers to the differences between generation from one generation to the next. The conflict occurs when younger people do not see issues to the same way as the older people do. Right? Now, this is sort of a general statement. Once you have stated a fact like this, you still need to use what? Characters. So remember, every time when you answer, you must speak about characters. All right? So you can have a general statement sort of as an opening statement to your response, but within your answer, we must see you unpacking the characters, because the answers are actually rooted in what the characters have done, what they have gone through, and what they have said to understand their views. Now, to better explain or to better unpack the theme of generational gap, of course, you need to speak about Tammy and Mr. M. That's the perfect way of responding to or discussing the theme of generational conflict or generational gap. Tammy is frustrated by the fact that Mr. M does not consult with him with regard to his own ideas and goals. Tammy believes that Mr. M's ideas are old-fashioned. Mr. M believes that dialogue is a solution, while Tammy thinks it's not this, it's thinks violence and boycott is the best way to fight apartheid and Bantu education. So you can use evidence from the play to further substantiate this. Now, living a meaningful life can also be one of the themes. Mr. M expresses frustration that apartheid and the Bantu education system were designed so that black children did not have the same opportunities that white children had. He calls this wasted potential and wasted lives. He is passionate about education and wants Tammy to further his studies at the university so that Tammy will have a meaningful life and will be a good educated leader. And he also did that. You can still beef up this a point by also alluding to the fact that he did organize or rope in Tammy to partake in the literature quiz competition, that which would afford Tammy to further his studies because he would win a scholarship. That would be a perfect example from the play to substantiate this statement. Now, as a white teenager during apartheid, Isabel has spent most of her life in the company of white people. The debate at Zolila High School is a totally new experience for her. She learns to interact with people of color who are not shaken by her presence. On the other hand, she is very excited about the experience and is ready to learn more. This gives her a sense of meaning and purpose. She is also the one that promises Mr. M that she will stand up and waste no time. And in her famous words and closing statement or closing line, powerful closing line in the play, the future is us, Mr. M. Now, there's the theme of friendship. In the play, Tammy and Isabel become friends and their friendship grows as the story progresses. Remember, I spoke about character development where you see different character traits of characters across the events, as in when the plot evolves, also the character evolves and develops, except Mr. M, because Mr. M's character is flat. He stays the same from the beginning up until the end. It is therefore an important friendship because Isabel is a white female and Tammy is a black male. So the author of the play portrayed or used this friendship not only to show the relationship of friendship between Tammy and Isabel, but also to show the connection between black and white during the apartheid regime. In Act 1, Scene 5, Isabel talks about the importance of being open to each other as friends. And then the theme of loyalty. Mr. M is loyal to Tammy and he wants him to have future as his favorite student, and you can still use evidence that I used earlier on about he also wanted him to further his studies. Tammy is not loyal to Mr. M as he feels that Mr. M has old-fashioned ideas, but in the end shows loyalty when he goes to warn Mr. M of the mob that wants to kill him. Mr. M and Isabel is loyal to each other as they support the idea of the quiz to help Tammy, and she makes a promise to Mr. M that she will not waste her life. And also, Isabel is very loyal to Tammy and their friendship and does not want to lose it, but Tammy is not loyal. So we know we have evidence to support. So whenever you see such statements, think of what kind of evidence can I use from the play to support this. Remember when Mr. M wanted to fish for information from Isabel about Tammy, and then Isabel will say, no, I cannot divulge such because it will ruin the friendship that I have with Tammy. That shows that indeed she's a loyal friend. So can you see that I've used evidence from the play to support the statement? So again, no general statement, but use factual information by sourcing out the relevant events that support that particular theme when you are asked to discuss it. Tradition versus culture, and then we've got gender inequality. The aspect of gender inequality is even from the debate in the opening scene, the topic in itself. So women seen as lower or if not inadequate to men, because it says that there must be a curriculum tailored or curated for men and one for women. The debate offers both Tammy and Isabel the opportunity to be equals. Both see the gender differences can be an asset, not a liability. And of course, the theme now of African traditions, behaving in accordance with one ethnic or tribal culture. Isabel believes we cannot be chained to the past. Tammy believes that women know their place. Mr. M argues for traditional values of trust and respecting elders, the choice to follow Western versus traditional African culture. And this was further also explained or explored rather during the debate where Isabel said that women can be liberated, and even used an example to say women can be astronauts now. You must not really be caged or being hindered or held back by the culture or norms. And then where Tammy said that women development and equality with regard to the both gender is a Western ideology which contradicts the African principles. So this is how the theme of gender equality as well as tradition versus culture can be was explored rather in this novel. In this play, not the novel. And then we've got also the theme of privilege versus poverty or inequality or apartheid. That one is easy. You think of Isabel, where she resides, and the Bragwater. And I did explain the significance of the names Bragwater, what Bragwater represents, or the symbolic representation of the word Bragwater on its own, and the living conditions of the blacks. We know by now that what kind of they lived in shacks, pondogs, labeled as pondogs, as compared to the beautiful buildings that where Isabel resided. So this one, we can have quite a number of facts to use to support the idea of privilege versus what poverty. And then we've got order versus disorder. Mr. M reading the definition of a debate from the dictionary shows order. Because remember, in the beginning opening scene, it was very chaotic. During the debate, they were screaming, and Mr. M had to call to order. That shows that Mr. M is indeed principled. And then again, the bell that Mr. M rings to restore calm among Zolile high school learners shows order as well. The unruly learners and Tammy and Isabel interrupting each other are symbols of disorder. And then the students starting the riot to stand against Bantu education is also a symbol of disorder, because they opted to use violence as compared to dialogue and communication as they were taught by Mr. M. Now, let us look briefly into how to respond to level 5 questions. When you speak about level 5 questions, these are higher order questions where examiners would ask you if you agree or disagree, and then they will say substantiate, giving 3 marks. Please check the contextual question example video that I did using the previous one of the prep question papers. As I've already stated, that when you are marked, you are not going to be marked agree or disagree. What markers are going to look for is your substantiation, your reasoning. Do not paraphrase. Do not use your own opinion. Use evidence from the play. Use facts from the play and speak about the characters. Don't use pronoun, like for example, to say that he was mad at, who was mad at. Say Mr. M was mad at. All right. Consider the play as a whole. Tammy is responsible for Mr. M's death. When you get questions of this nature, it says, do you agree? And then the examiner will say, discuss. You can't discuss in one sentence. You must go all out in your responses. I will say, ensure that you've got 3 facts to qualify for 3 marks. And you've got a plethora of evidence from the play to support whether agree or disagree. Now, in an examination, you must assess yourself and check where you have more facts. If you have more facts agreeing, then agree. If you have more facts disagreeing, then disagree. Just be certain and take a decision before responding to such questions. Now, either you can agree or disagree. Depending on how you substantiate, you can still collect marks. If Tammy had noted Mr. M's advice, Mr. M's attitude would not have been so reactionary, intolerant towards the school boycott. Mr. M treated it as an unreasonable way by the comrade in the absence of sufficient evidence. Tammy shares the same views as a comrade and does not speak openly about it to Mr. M. Tammy knew what the plans were, but he does not warn Mr. M until it's too late, which is true, because it's only when Mr. M was just about to be killed in the midst of the boycott, that's when Tammy clearly and explicitly expressed himself. So with that said, I've used evidence from the play to support this. Or you can disagree. The system of apartheid was responsible for the tragedy of the killing of Mr. M. Mr. M had a dogmatic attitude and so brought about his own downfall. He had given the names of the certain numbers of belonging to the action committee to the police, and this is fact from the play. These members were arrested and detained because of Mr. M treacherous actions. The comrades with their mob mentality were also how responsible. So every time use evidence from the play. Now, the last one, do you agree with Mr. M that pulling down statutes is not solution for freedom in this drama? You can either say yes or you can say no. Yes, he believes that comrades should be orderly and think rationally. To destroy statutes is irrational and will not bring them freedom. Can you hear that this response? I did not use my own opinion. I used evidence from the play. I speak about characters. Mr. M rejects violence because it leads to suffering and pain. Children in the police vehicle later. He feels debating and discussing can bring about change without people dying later. He reads the register and does not know how many have died. He believes education is the key to success. Later, he goes to the school even during the boycott. Or you can say no. Words alone are not enough. Drastic action is sometimes needed, like the school boycott. People run. Can you see this? It seems like an opinion when you read it, but it is now fully substantiated by making key reference to the event in the play to say, like the school boycott. So it means even where you support with evidence, you can still couple it up. It's important to still couple it up with evidence from their play. People run out of patience and feel violence is the only way, like the riots in Bragota. Can you see? It's another opinion, but it is still contextualized by being rooted in the events of the play. So please, when you respond to higher order questions in the play, make sure that you support and you fully support your substantiation with evidence from the play. Lastly, do you think Mr. M is fair when he later asked Tammy to convince the comrades to come back to school? Discuss your view. Mr. M is being unfair and unreasonable. He knows that Tammy is engaged in political struggle and is respected by the people as a leader and comrades, but deliberately asked him to act against his own comrades by asking them to come back to school. School was regarded as a terrain of political struggle, and school boycott advanced the struggle effort. Asking learners to come back to school will be counterproductive. Now, even this one, you can have your own opinion, by the way, to say, but I think maybe Mr. M was not really fair. You can't ask a student not to boycott, then you end there. Can you hear what you just heard what I've just said? You can't ask a student not to boycott. We are not speaking about any student, but we are speaking about Tammy and Mr. M. So please always speak about the characters. Even if you have your own opinion, couple it or make reference to beef up your argument. Make reference to the events of the play. So always think about evidence when you respond. Which evidence can I use to support this statement? Always. Now, or you can say, no, Mr. M is fair in his request. Tammy, as an influential activist and leader, can convince learners to come back to school. He is an intelligent student and commands a lot of respect from his peers and could make them see the value of engaging in a non-violent political struggle while pursuing their academic goals. So basically, you just use the storyline to respond to questions, and most importantly, interpret questions accordingly so that you can know which evidence or which the right evidence to use to substantiate your responses. Make sure that you qualify for the 3 marks by going all out in your response, but don't repeat one thing over and over again. Thank you, and I hope that the lesson will be fruitful once more. Good luck.